Okay, everyone should be on the day 9 notes. I believe it's page 7. Page 7. And we're going to start with number 1. So today you're only going to be focusing on condensing logs, okay? And so after we finish going through numbers 1 through 8, then you're going to go ahead and do numbers 1 through 8 on the back, but only numbers 1 through 8. So again, today we're only focusing on condensing, and that's it. Okay, so for number 1, if I'm asking you to condense a log, what I'm asking you to do is to make it into one single log. Right now there are 2 logs. We need to condense it to 1. Anytime there is a number being multiplied to a log, in other words, if there is a number in front of a log, what we need to do is use the power rule that says that we can move it to the exponent. So then we are going to write this as log of 6 raised to the 2nd power minus log of 9. What we're going to do next is we're going to simplify 6 squared, which is just 36. So log of 36 minus log of 9. We still have 2 logs, and we need to simplify it into 1. So right here, we have not 1 argument, but 2 arguments. So once again, because we have 2 logs, we have 2 arguments, and there is a minus in between. If there is a minus, that means we're going to divide. So now this is going to become log of 36 over 9. And we can simplify 36 divided by 9 as 4. So this is equal to log of 4. So there's number 1. Number 2 is similar. So number 2, once again, you're always going to look and see, is there a number being multiplied to that log? If there is a number multiplied to that log, the first thing you need to do is move that to the exponent. So that 4 right here is attached to the first log, and this 2 right here is attached to the second log. The 4 is in front and the 2 is in front, so that means we're going to move it to the exponent. Move the 2 to the exponent. So that is your first step, is to move these guys to the exponent. So that means that it's going to say log base 4 of a to the 4th now, plus log base 4 of b squared. So what we do now is we focus on the arguments. So we have 2 logs, which means we have 2 arguments. Argument number 1 is this guy, and the second argument is this guy. This time we have a plus in between our arguments, which means we're going to multiply. If there is a plus, that means we multiply. So now this is going to become log base 4 of a to the 4th times b squared. Now, because these bases are different, their letters are different, we cannot add our exponents. So this is just log base 4 of a to the 4th b squared. Okay, moving on to number 3. So number 3, once again, look and see, are there numbers in front? If there are numbers in front of a log, you have got to move it to the exponent. Move the 3 to the exponent. So the 7 is attached to the first log, and the 3 is attached to the second log. So this 7 moves over to the u, and this 3 moves over to the v squared. So this now is going to say log base 4 of u to the 7th minus log base 4 of v squared, and then that v squared has an exponent of 3. Now, when we have a power raised to another power, that means we are going to multiply. We're going to multiply those two. So now this becomes log base 4 of u to the 7th minus log base 4 of v to the 6th, because 2 times 3 is 6. So now what we look at is our 2 arguments. We have 2 logs, so our first argument is u to the 7th. Our second argument is v to the 6th. And we have a minus in between. So because we have a minus in between, that means we are going to divide. So now we've got log base 4 of u to the 7th over v to the 6th. So once again, because these two are different letters, we cannot subtract our exponents. Therefore, this is now the final answer. And number 4. So number 4 is different because we have not 2 but 3 logs. It is not that hard. So all we're going to do is just focus on the first 2 logs. So if we're focusing on the first 2 logs, that means we're focusing on the first 2 arguments. So we have a 15 and a 4. The 15 and the 4 have a plus in between, so that means we are going to multiply these. So that's going to become log base 2 of 15 times 4, which is 60, minus log base 2 of 6. Once again, we're not done until we've condensed it just to 1 log. We still have 2 logs. If we have 2 logs, we have 2 arguments. We have the argument 60 and 6 with a minus in between. So that means that we are going to divide these. So we got log base 2 of 60 divided by 6, which is 60 divided by 6, which can be simplified to log base 2 of 10. All right, moving on to number 4. Or not number 4, number 5. Once again, we have 3 logs. Before we even start trying to condense or start multiplying or dividing our arguments, look right here. We have a 1/2 in front of the log. We need to move that guy right here. So now we have log base 3 of 4 plus log base 3 of y plus log base 3 of 49 risen to the 1/2. You can just use your calculator to simplify this 49 to the 1/2, but it is the same thing as taking the square root of 49, so therefore the answer for 49 to the 1/2 is just 7. So now it's going to say log base 3 of 4 plus log base 3 of y plus log base 3 of 7. Okay, so now it looks like number 4. We are going to look at the first 2 arguments, the 4 and the y. The first 2 arguments have a plus in between. If there is a plus, that means we are going to multiply. So that means this is going to become log base 3 of 4y plus log base 3 of 7. Still haven't simplified to 1 log, so we have one more step. Look at your arguments. We have the argument 4y and the argument 7, again with a plus in between. So that means we are going to multiply these two. So that's going to become log base 3, 4y times 7 is 28y. Okay, moving on to number 6. So I chose to put number 6 in the lesson because this 1/3 is in front of a parentheses. The 1/3 is acting like a number in front of a log. But instead of this 1/3 only attaching itself to the first log, it's attaching itself to both of these because they are both in the parentheses. So once again, that 1/3 is attaching itself to both because of the parentheses. So I'm going to move this 1/3 to the 8 and move this 1/3 to the 27th. So this is going to become log base 5 of 8 risen to the 1/3 plus log base 5 of 27 risen to the 1/3 minus log base 5 of 3. We need to simplify these guys. This is the same thing as cube root, so it's saying what times itself 3 times gives you 8. And this is saying what times itself 3 times gives you 27. Or you can use the calculator and type in 8 to the power of 1/3, and it gives you 2. So this is log base 5 of 2 plus log base 5 of 27 to the 1/3, 3, minus log base 5 of 3. 3 logs, we need to condense it to 1. So look at our first 2 arguments, a 2 and a 3. The 2 and the 3 have a plus in between, so that means that they should be multiplying. So log base 5 of 3 times 2 is 6, minus log base 5 of 3. We have 2 logs, 2 arguments. We can condense to 1. There is a minus in between, so that means we are going to divide our arguments. So that means this is going to become log base 5 of 6 divided by 3, which is 2. All right, moving on to number 7. Number 7. 2 logs, we need to condense it to 1. This 3 is attached only to the first log, not to the second one, because there is no parentheses. So the 3 attaches itself to the 4. That's your first step, always. So this becomes log base 2 of 4 to the 3rd minus log base 2 of 32. Go ahead and type in 4 to the 3rd in your calculator. And you get 64. So log base 2 of 64 minus log base 2 of 32. 2 logs, 2 arguments with a minus in between. So that means we're going to divide the 2. So this is log base 2 of 64 divided by 32, which is 2. And that's your answer. And then number 8. Okay, we've got 3 logs. We have a number in front, a number in front. Your first step always is to move that number in front to the exponent. So that 2 is attached to the 6, and the 1/4 is attached to the 16. So this becomes log of 6 squared. I understand there is no base. That's okay. That means there's a 10 there, but we don't have to write it. Minus log of 16 risen to the 1/4 plus log of 3. We're going to simplify our arguments. So 6 squared is 36. 16 to the 1/4 is asking you what times itself 4 times gives you 16. Or you can just type in 16 to the power of 1/4 gives you 2. All right, so now it looks like all the others. Go ahead and focus on the first 2 logs, the first 2 arguments. There is a minus in between, so therefore this is going to be log of whatever 36 divided by 2 is, 18, minus, no, plus log of 3, 2 arguments with a plus in between. That means we're going to multiply our arguments. So this is going to become log of whatever 18 times 3 is, 54. And there's your answer. Okay, so now you have the rest of the class to complete numbers. Go to the next page. Complete numbers 1 through 8. This is what you need to be working on today. Tomorrow we'll be working on this part right here. So please come back to class tomorrow with numbers 1 through 8 finished. If you have any questions, just write me on Schoology. I'm just sitting in a meeting, so if my phone is out and I'm able to, I will answer your questions during the meeting.